Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Um, we are continuing our discussion yesterday with respect to the Moors and their origins, and more importantly, their intentions. What were their intentions towards foundational Black Americans? Um, where we left off yesterday was we explored um, the relationship between the Temple of Set. Um, or it's modern day terminology, Temple of Satan, Lucifer. That means light bearer, by the way. Luce in Latin. Hold on, put that in a jumbotron. Luce means light. Yeah, everything's backwards, ladies and gentlemen. Light. Fur means bearer thereof. So Lucifer means bearer of light. We've been confused to think that light is good and dark is bad. Get it? Now, the in ancient times, God, mind you, God's never called himself God, but that's a whole nother point. But the Creator um, was referred to as the Lord of the Perfect Black, Osar, the European rename of Osiris. So black was associated with divinity. I could go all day with that shit. One of the good things about me as a scholar and as an educator or professor, whatever you want to call me, is I have my training, my education is diversified. So I'm not just in one thing. Believe it or not, I started out in fine arts and realized that wasn't enough money. So I went to law school and realized at the first law firm I worked at that I hated. Absolutely hated law, the practice thereof. So I went back to graduate school for psychology and education. So, and when I served for 4 years, I was they my squadron commander made me become a computer person. There's a really beautiful story about that, but I'm not going to bore y'all with that. Basically, I showed up and I was like, "Ma'am, for my duty appointment when I made second lieutenant," and she was like, "You lieutenant?" Yeah, I was like, "Yes," and she was like, "I said I'm your new historian." She said, "That job's filled. You're my new computer. It's called aerospace education officer, but it's a computer guy." I was like, "Ma'am, I don't know anything about science," and she said, "You're my new computer guy," and she walked out the room. So I know a little about, I can kind of cross reference all those things to come up with what I perceive to be the truth. Well, back to the subject at hand, where the Moors, the architects of FBA and total world destruction. I feel like an explosion needs to go off. We concluded that they were, right? In the Jumbotron, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see a uh, excerpt from a very rare book on secret societies. It's really hard to find now. And this is where we left off last night. We were FBA Trade Day concluded, or well, he brought to our attention that the Moors were the origin of the Temple of Set. Um, Now, if you look back to ancient Kemet or Egypt, the Temple of Setai shows the origin of the white man, which they refer to the Tamahu. Tamahu literally means created man. So we were speculating, could the Moors have been the creator of the black man's arch enemy? There's some indication in Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop's book that there was a human being created to be a service class. So could the script have been flipped on us? I don't know, but it's interesting to explore that. If you look back at the text where we left off was, if you look at the third paragraph on page 495 of the text in the Jumbotron, it says, quote, the best known orders at this point were in the orders of the trapezoid. Stop right there. Trapezoid is a very evil shape, but I digress, which works with the magical currents of the German National Socialism. Uh-oh. So this book associated the Temple of Set with the Temple of Satan, Church of Satan, excuse me, and uh, socialism. You keep reading, you'll see uh, uh, the word. I'm looking for it. You see the Nazis are in there. Himmler was a high-ranking Nazi officer. So socialism associated with Nazis, associated with Satanism. And if you keep looking through there, you'll see abortionism and a certain religion. Some of you know what I'm talking about. So what we concluded yesterday, what we speculated on, not concluded, was what's the possibility all these things are related? What's the possibility of socialism, um, abortion, um, and certain religious groups are related to the Temple of Set, which is related to the Temple of Setaiwan, which is related to the Temple of Satan. Are all those things related? Or have I just lost it? What are your thoughts, Wanda?
Yes.
Yes, yes, I lost it.
No, possibly. Um, I do think these things are related. In fact, I know they're related. So I know that Hitler was running around Germany trying to get certain people out of there because they had set up these sexology clinics and they wanted to, and they actually did, change people's sex. And they also advocated for transgender people back in 1919. And then they were burned out in the 30s when the Nazis came. So, yeah, that particular school of thought, we'll call it, was hovering in these subcultures around Europe. And it was associated with a certain group of people, I'm sorry, like Sigmund Freud and others. And they just continued to push these belief systems. Marxism, which, is related to uh, socialism and other forms of thought. And the Nazis didn't like their forms of thought, they didn't like their attitudes, which is very strange to come into someone else's country and then start trying to push other ideas. Very hard. Like, they say they don't want you to change people's genders. They say they don't want these men turned into women. They say they don't want you to advocate for them, and yet you keep doing it. You keep pushing this. You keep talking about your religion. And so, yes, I think it's definitely weird, and we already showed in the other room, and we can go over it again, that this mindset found its way here and turned into everything under the sun. Drug use, porn became normalized, and that was based on drugs being sent into the neighborhoods. All of these things were part of the sexology mindset, which put people into this sexual revolution. And that entailed doing whatever the hell you want to do. Maybe it's that same do as thou
Do as
wilt
thou willst. Yes.
attitude. You see?
Yes, ma'am. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to be kind of codified with this, but we're going to go to I'm sorry, Professor Griff. And I'm going to hit y'all with some rare scholarship out of his book that almost got him killed. And I'm going to speak very codified about this. So, Wani mentioned lifestyle a moment ago. Y'all following me? And she mentioned lifestyle options. Now, if y'all put that in context for what we've been saying, I'm gonna show y'all a little something, something. Look in the jumbotron at this. These are deities from the religions that we've been talking about. I don't even like saying their names really, but if you look at the right bottom right, the deity that Wani just mentioned has both uh, male and female parts. Wani, do you think that could be relevant?
Yes, I do. But
Talk about
keep
it.
in mind, there's only two parts, male and female.
Right.
There's not 162 genders or uh, different types of sexual organs. Man and woman is all there is. Just wanted to throw that out there. Um, so with this, let me see what this is. Yeah, see, this is very interesting. So the Moors were into this type of religious belief.
I
Is
don't.
that what?
Well, where's FBA Trade Day?
Do
Um,
we have any proof of their? We know that they were in those secret societies, but do we have any solid proof of what they were collectively believing in? Because yesterday we were talking about their background. They're kind of like a mix of Berbers, Arabs, and sub-Saharan Africans in North Africa, and they're basically Muslim inhabitants of that area. So we don't know exactly all their bloodlines. We know they're kind of a mix, and people refer to them as Moors based on their religion and their location and their ethnicities, which were a blend of different ethnicities. So I'm not 100% sure the different types of belief systems they had. I just heard rumors of them. Anybody want to put up some solid facts on what you think they were believing in? Trey Day's here. He'll give us more insight on it.
yeah, I got a question, and I'm gonna get to
In
you six.
69.
I'm gonna get to
Yeah,
you 69, but Trey Day, I got something for you, bro. I teach one section of ancient world history, and I know a good bit about it. But just check this out. So when we look back at history, and I'm not even gonna give you a date because they don't know the fucking dates. You can't carbon date stone, so we don't know how old this stuff is. So let's just say a fucking long time ago. Um, Kemet, to marry Egypt, whatever you want, Egyptus, whatever you want to call it, was operating pretty well um, with the Memphite theology. Um, the story of the Holy Trinity was operating pretty well, and sometime after or during Egypt's fall in Mesopotamia, the winged one. So you have a story of creation, a Set Asaru, the story of the black family, the story of the creation, right? The story of being a hero to avenge wrongdoing. And after that, that story is replaced by another story that's very similar to the story of Lucifer falling from heaven. Ladies and gentlemen, that whole Anunnaki story, one of my students said, Dr. A, that sounds like Revelation or whatever it is in the Bible. I'm not a biblical scholar, but the story of the Anunnaki literally says like several winged beings came down um, to Mesopotamia to and taught mankind how to do things. And from that time period, you get the deities I put in the jumbotron. You get Moloch, Moloch, or however you say his name, where you have to sacrifice children. You get all this perceived evil from this time period. So, what I'm asking you, FBA Trade A, is were the Moors involved with ritual sacrifice? And if you look at the jumbotron, were the Moors involved with that? Do you know?
I know that when they went up to Europe, they did a lot of devious stuff to the Europeans. Believe it or not, they would actually some of them, the Dragon Moors. They were known for burying the Europeans babies and kicking their heads off and shit. That came from the Dragon Moors. But there were definitely sects of the Moors that were following different thought processes, and there were many civil wars throughout the Moorish Empire. As a matter of fact, some people will argue that those civil wars are the only reason why reconquest even occurred on the part of the Europeans, because the Moors were having so much inner turmoil. But collectively, collectively, you have to be careful when speaking of the Moors, as Wani stated, because they were, and that's something I should have specified. Uh, because there are different ethnicities. You have the Turkish ones, you have the more Hamitic ones, and then you have some that are more of the West African strain. So there were different sets. But definitely there was some sacrifice. That's some will argue is a part of some of the Freemasonry rituals. You have to make some sort of a sacrifice, whether it be a sexual sacrifice or a blood sacrifice.
Wow.
But yeah, that's that's kind of kind of a overview of how the Moors kind of
It's either
did some dirt.
sex magic, or blood rituals. Hmm.
Yep, that's where. Yep, that's because if you notice, one of the things you always notice, and Bobby Hemmett spoke on this, was there was like this like with the Freemasons, they got a there was like, you ever notice like when they be having little boys with like brides shit on, like bridesmaid shit on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But some say they, yeah, some say that they fucked them little boys in the ass.
They
Some
do.
Wow.
say that's yeah, some say that's a Freemasonry ritual.
Mm-hmm.
But it's deviancy, at the end of the day. So, like I said, the Moors were ops. They did a lot of sacrifice and shit like that, and just deviant shit, and gave it to the Europeans to control us with. So, and like Love said, the Moors today are probably, or more than likely, the celebrities we see today don't do shit for black people. And if you notice, the Deities and all that, they are kind of, not to incredible, but I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, they're kind of associated with that type of shit, though. If you notice, it's always shit. Him and different names. I ain't gonna name names and shit, but you know what I'm saying. So, at the end of the day, it's a lot of sacrifices, sexual blood, different ways, but it's all kind of tied, man. It's all tied. So I'll leave it vague like that.
Yeah, very, very fascinating.
Hope.
What are your thoughts, 69 Cent?
How you doing, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well and having a good day. Thank you for bringing me up to the room. Um, well, I appreciate you having this discussion as it relates to Moors. I listened in yesterday, and if you don't mind, I wanted to publicly, I sent a message to you, Sister Nikki, and also the Elder Wani. Wanted to apologize for this brother named Real Naeem, who calls himself a Moor, but a lot of these people are what I would call dirty Moors, or Moor sovereign citizens. They're very pernicious, very disrespectful. They a lot of times come from street life and just leeches, and I guess it would be like the tether class of people that call themselves Moors. So I wanted to. He publicly disrespected you, and on behalf of some of the people that are that wouldn't go for that and would check him in person, wanted to publicly apologize for how he treated you by calling you a B word. So wanted to start there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So as it relates to the subject, I'm fine with, and I'll sit back and listen. And I'm used to hearing um, every every manner of, I don't know, whatever people want to believe. They'll ascribe any kind of hate towards Moors. Doesn't matter what group it is. It's perfectly fine. They've earned a lot of hate. Um, so I don't, I'm not here to necessarily defend. I can clear up some things as it relates to certain people because I have mentorship from like specific group of elders in the Moorish, or I would say Moorish mysticism. Okay, so I can clear up some things as it relates to, yes, they did assist with the creation of certain melanin recessive beings. That's correct. Was it a mistake overall? In some ways, um, I would say that that's the intention is not that we. I heard yesterday somebody say that Moors generally want to destroy FBAs. Um, I mean, that's a pretty bold blanket statement, but that's not that's not what true Moors intend to do. So, if I could just answer some of those questions, we can start from
May
there.
I? Are we speaking about ethnic? Moors or the Moorish people carrying on the Moorish belief? Because I
Uh,
don't want to get it confused. You know what I'm saying?
right, right. Um, so Moors are just that answer your question. I would say the
You're
people that are
breaking up.
trying to do. My bad. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me hold on. Let me turn this off. That'll probably help. Okay. Yeah, they're my bars. So the Moors that I have grown up knowing all of my life, the people in my family, the bloodline that I come from, they're here to clean up all the mess of the people that put together these different occults and they went awry. Namely, like Masonic teachings and things of that nature that have a lot of negative. There's a lot of negative things that happen with that occult. It's positive too, but there's a lot of negative, unfortunately. We're here to clean that up, and we're actively working on doing so. But generally, mooring or the term moor has a dual meaning. Mooring is in the rest of the world is about sea travel. It's just connecting continents through sea travel. Cartographers or explorers of the world, and it also means dark skinned people. Just very dark, whatever Aboriginal people, always the darker skinned people of that continent. But there's pale skin Arabs. There's all kinds of different morphs through amalgamation, conquest. But what I represent is people that are, I guess, would be considered Negroid. Um, we have American Indian and um, North American background.
Well, yeah, I hear you, bro. And nobody's trying to attack anything. I know a good bit about history, but I don't know anything about Moors. And several scholars that I very much respect, including but not limited to Bobby Hemmett, have associated Moors with a lot of our detriment as foundational Black Americans. So I'm just exploring that, you know. Um, and really, this is me trying to get educated. So just to clear that up.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I can
ladies,
answer. I can answer some questions about that if you don't mind, real quick.
are
I
you
did
a
write
Moor?
down. Yes, I'm a part of the. I was appointed a education minister with the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Okay.
Um, I'm not a temple Moor in the sense of like I'm not. I don't. It's sort of like a at large or in the
Mm.
education. It would say like emeritus or you know. Um, it's an actual recognized diplomatic status through the Department of Homeland Security. But
Well, let me ask you a question. Are y'all the same group of Moors that were involved? Because it could be different groups. I know nothing about it. Are y'all related in any way to the group that was associated with Morocco in the early United States? Are y'all associated with the same group?
The 1790 Sundry Act.
Yeah, is that two different? Help me out. Is it y'all or is that somebody else?
I mean, I don't, it looked like they were Negro type of African descent Moors because they were asking for um, different paperwork so they wouldn't be perceived as Black Americans and be subject to the laws against us. So obviously, in 1790, they would have been captured and put into slavery unless they had some sort of paperwork. And obviously, they looked Black enough to be perceived as Black, or else they wouldn't have had to do that. So,
And Wani, that evidence that Wani just presented is I'm sorry, but it seems to stand as evidence that the Moors were not on the same side as foundational Black Americans. Because if they were, wouldn't they have tried to liberate us as well?
so yes, let me answer. There's multiple different points, so let me go ahead and answer
Go ahead.
some one by one. So this is how we're taught. Um, some of these things it goes back. Some of these history goes back so far, it's almost considered mystery or folklore. Folklore, but um, the way it was broken down is that the ancient mystery schools were taught by an Ogdoad, a group of eight learned elders, and it was split across the four directions. They went to the different continents, and primarily in South America is where a lot of those temples, like Temple of the Sun and the Moon, those civilizations were built. Wherever you found mounds or pyramids, okay,
Uh-oh.
and
So you said Temple of the Sun and the Moon. So am I hearing you to say, I heard mystery schools in there. So I'm hearing you to say there are different sects of Moors. There are Moors that decided to follow a path of light, and there are Moors that decided to follow a path of darkness. Is that, am I hearing that?
well, they're both lights. It's actually the lesser light and the greater light. It would be a uh,
The lesser light and the greater
so
light.
the sun
Interesting.
is the original light, and the moon is the reflection of the
Right.
sun.
Uh-huh.
Right. So so to answer your question, what happened was, yes, there were rules of people that were Moorish. There weren't any Caucasian or pale skinned people at that time. But what happened is when they were created as a warrior class, they were created as a warrior class. And it's gonna sound a little strange, but there are beings that come out of the water, which is confused for outer space, that were warring against Moorish people. Okay, so
Interesting.
yeah, so
That,
it's
and it does not sound strange.
okay, okay, so that's something you can comprehend. That's good. So yeah, these reptilian beings
Oh wow.
were warring with these Ogdoad civilizations that were being established all over the world. So they were these pale skinned warriors were created in what's called some of them, not all of them, some of these temples, these pyramid structures. Okay, they have multiple purposes, but they were actual biochemical labs. And in one instance, on the and America does this today. On the islands, they do experiments. Okay, and on the Isles of Man and Lesbos, where created beings, men and female, they were designed as lesbian um, and homosexual, ergo Isle of Man and Lesbos. And these beings were created as warriors, and they were not supposed to eat meat, um, because, well, one, you in iterations of cloning, you create there's mistakes you have to work out.
Hold on, you're telling me so much information. Let's slow down for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, the island of Lesbos is real. You can get on Google
Mm-hmm.
Maps and see that. You're talking about creation. This sounds like the Temple of Setai One with the Tamahu. Are you? Am I hearing you to say that the ancient Moors created a different type of man?
Yes, that is. There's multiple different
Wow.
times through history of different created men,
Uh-huh.
but they're not the original uh, human being. As
So
in,
so I'm just gonna fucking say it. Are you talking about people of a certain race?
yes, yes,
Wow.
absolutely, and
You're talking about mankind.
mankind. You're absolutely correct.
Wow.
So this is so
Carry
I was
on.
born. The reason I say this, and I mentioned this to the sister Wani, that I didn't take an oath to hide this type of knowledge from my own people. Unfortunately, there are some who do. Um, Damn near every word they say is a lie. But I've never taken the oath to do that, so I can freely without. I've never had to sacrifice anybody. I've never had to. Um, do any dastardly deeds or
And I'm gonna say, bro, don't get yourself in trouble.
no, I'm
Don't do
fine.
that.
I'm
Okay.
fine. No, I haven't had to cut off a digit of my pinky. I've met, like I said, I've met all kinds of. I have an interesting bloodline, but um, I can speak on these things without any uh, issues. Okay, so
Bro, you got us quiet as hell. You done said a whole lot, man. So the story of Yakub is like actually true then?
there's multiple Yakubs, but yes,
Yeah,
yes. Okay,
Wow.
so let me tell you why I brought it up. Uh,
and
Go
Kemet,
ahead.
Go ahead, Trey.
I'm about saying Kemet, he's Manu, and Kemet he was referred to as Manu. Uh, I'll get the text
Okay.
in a minute, but it talks about a priest named Manu, and that's
Are you
supposed to be
saying
Yakub.
Anu or with an M as in man? Manu.
Manu,
Okay.
Manu, Manu,
Well, there's a lot of
Manu.
different
It was an
just
African name,
confounding of
but
language, so I'd have to look through the etymology. But okay, so the reason I brought this up was for a specific purpose, not just to say, these beings, yes, they're warrior class. They did end up tasting blood. It does cause them to have psychosis. Um, what?
Wow. So hold on, stop right there. Let me just speak plain in English. Are you saying that the Moors created the Tamahu, the white man, who was initially supposed to eat um like maybe lettuce or eat greens, but the Tamahu tasted blood, and the taste of blood is what corrupted him?
That's part of it, and
Wow.
sunlight as well. So, okay, as it relates to these beings, yes, they were a warrior class. They did help to defend. If you notice, the
Hold
just to
on,
tie it together.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, man, but my brain is unpacking this. Oh,
Well, hold on. Let me say this real quick.
go ahead. I'm gonna shut my mouth.
Just realize that when veganism became or healthy movements or veganism became a very big push, that's when you got all of these white allies. Okay, and I bring that up because when we created this weapon, we also created them with what's called a 0 day or a backdoor. We designed them to be able to be controlled. Some of them, not all of them, but we didn't create a weapon without us having the ability to either have them self-destruct or to be controlled. And the ones that can be controlled are called flugel rods. Flugel rods. FLUGELRODS. If you look those up. So we created those beings. We did not. Once they didn't have a use, as people in the military know, you get discarded, and they upon their own devices, fell into mixing with animals and just living terribly in the primarily the Caucasus Mountains. So we took pity upon them, and we uh, brought them out of the mountains, and we shaved their hair. That's where the barber or Berber Edom comes from, and unfortunately, we did mix with them. Now that's part of our downfall. All right, so we created this Frankenstein thing. We took pity on it, and we civilized it, and we improved its DNA. That's why I always keep posting that picture. I got it from a Russian mystic, and it shows a wolf-like being that's traversing the checkered floor, and then when it goes to the other door, it's clothed and it's carrying a lamppost. I'm sure you've seen that before. There's a reason why I post that. So we civilize that being, but also our problem, and this happens. It's a constant thing. You always create a slave-like being or a warrior being, and then it turns on you,
Turns on you.
and your downfall is mixing with it. It doesn't matter if it's demigods. It just that cycle just keeps happening. So us being the Lulu Amalu, or we were brought to this planet to mine gold and rare earth minerals, which is, I mean, that's what everybody does today. Um, everybody's trying to get
Brought to
up.
the earth by Anunnaki.
You can say I know. Yes, sure. I was. That's fine. I would call them the 24 elders.
Wow.
But so we're not. We weren't a necessarily. Hmm, we were made. We were fashioned. But we weren't like an experiment necessarily. How? Uh, how we created the, as you said, Tamahu.
Is that more so dealing with the white folk?
Yeah, they are.
I heard that
Okay.
the Anunnaki, it, I heard their creations were more so the white folk more so than us. Even the word Anunnaki, the very word, the base word Anu, that means the people. It's the same word for Bantu, but I just throw it out there. Just
Yes, they were
they say we're
designed.
God.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
No man.
No, it's fine. All right. So yes, they were created as a weapon, and unfortunately, that weapon got turned against us. So let's all right, we got through that. Now, how we get into slavery? And unfortunately, a lot of pale Arabs and hell, a lot of African nations are still involved in slavery. I'll tell you this. This is what I was told by my mentors. One, we fell for our own degeneracy and debauchery. Okay, but hell, there's a lot of most nations are. If you know anything about their leadership, they're very evil, very very evil. So I don't use that as an excuse as why all of us should suffer. I don't agree with that. Some people in the temple, in the Moorish temples, they say, oh well, we fell from our divinity and all these type of things. So that's why we deserve slavery. No, I do not agree with people that say that. Um, I don't. But what we did do is we mixed in with our creation, and that is primarily the reason. And that's why Malcolm X said, one of the last things that they'll do is they'll give you their woman, and that's a concern now because that's a big push that's happening, and it's being done on purpose. It's a major psyop to um, have these women mix in because they're trying to survive. And I'll post some videos in regards to that. They know this. I've had to turn down. You got to watch your sons and daughters in college primarily, because that's when they really try to get as much melanin as possible. They're not just having sex now; they're actually wanting to have children, mixed children. So that was part of the downfall. Now, what my elders told me was that us as a people were doing so much evil and not following our own proper principles. Um, we were doing evil. Unfortunately, we were doing evil. We fell from grace, and that comes with the mixing, because it's a psychological thing as well. The tragic mulatto, it matters. It matters. And what I'll tell you something that not everybody knows is I know about uh, Caucasian people on from how they were created. They have negative, evil thoughts that they fight constantly. All right, it's they don't just have that, you know, acid rock metal head banging thing for no reason. They're constantly fighting evil, negative thoughts at all times, and it's even. I work a lot with law in that field. And that's part of how we're trying to help fix up this mess that we created. But there's a doctrine in the courts. All the judges, all the clerks know this, but they say they they give them the insanity plea because they know this knowledge. A lot of them are Masons and what do you call it? Eastern Star. They literally say it's because of a these people don't assimilate sunshine properly, so they're allowed to have the insanity plea because of that. They have melanin, but it's in balls up under their skin. It's kind of like freckles up under the skin. You can't live on this planet without melanin, and it's around their genitals. But they're melanin recessive. It's called faux melanin and eumelanin.
All right,
But
hold on to that thought. 69 cent. We're gonna get a response, but I am coming back to you. FBA trade day. Go ahead. And then we'll go to Walik. I mean Walil Lauren. Oh trade day went down. Go ahead, Wakil.
I just wanted to say the brother that's was speaking 69 cent. He's absolutely right. I was initiated as a Freemason Prince Hall uh, four letter. If anybody knows about that. When I was 26, and my uncle, he is part of the consistory, Prince Hall 3 letter, and my other uncle before him, things of that nature. But what I wanted to say was that um, what the brother is saying, I questioned a lot of before I became a Freemason and afterwards, um, because I only reached the third degree. But you can be, a lot of people are 33rd degree Freemasons already and don't know it. I didn't find that out because they give you a kind of an instructor when you first go in. And I learned that from my instructor. So what I'm saying about the information that the brother is dropping is that I got it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Um, that these things are true, especially about the white man or the white race, that they were indeed, we created them. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who's also a Freemason, um, said that when the white man was first created, the blonde haired, blue eyed version, that he was celebrated. So, and this thing about constant creations being made is the same thing that's going on with AI now. Like
Right.
we're doing the same thing with AI, or they're doing the same thing with AI, and so the demise by the hands of AI is definitely on the brink, um, and things of that nature. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what the brother's saying. He's 100% correct, and yeah, he's really, really, really 100% correct. From my due diligence with brothers that I know that's in the lodge that have been past masters, secret masters of the lodge, he is 100% correct. They've known this for years, for years, ever since lodges have been. It's 100% correct. And I land my plane.
Wow. Trey Day, come on up.
What up? What up? Um, Very interesting theories as far as the Moorish teachings are concerned and the temple and all that. The only thing I question is the notion of a fall as a result of practices we did. And a specific question I want to ask, what's his name, 69? Uh, what time period did this fall occur? If you don't mind answering.
So I'm not astute specifically as it relates to time periods. There's always been mixing. I guess it's a part of human nature. People like to believe that uh, everything was one way at one time. The only thing that's absolutely true is there's these created beings didn't exist roughly. Mm, uh, the After certain dynasties in Egypt. I can't give you the exact time, but I would say that during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, uh, after that is when the downfall did occur. And so what happened is there was a lot of warring back and forth after we civilized these beings, um, and we educated them. And another thing that occurred as well, trying to answer some questions here. I'll answer that and also get into slavery. So, you civilize these beings, you bring them out of the mountains. That's why these Hamitic religions were created to stop them from. Why would you have to tell people not to mix with animals? That's in Leviticus, which is the laws, Deuteronomies, and things like that. Numbers, Judges, these different books. Why would you have to tell that? Why would you have to? Why would you have to give those laws, right? Unless you were reforming a fallen being. So that's why these religions were created, and it was during given for a Lucifer or primitive cycle. Um, so the current state of the Masonic Lodge, unfortunately, is satanic. It the satanic initiation rite or ritual only has one or two words different from the initiation oath of the Masonic Lodge. It's been subverted. It was not intended. I'm not saying all, but it was not intended to be what it became. So that it's a science. Being a Moor, as I am, and my elders have taught me, and I've spoken to people who were going to be 32nd or 33rd degree. They were invited to that degree. Um, we are able to speak, even though I'm not an initiate of, I'm not a Freemason myself. I mean, it's in my blood, but I'm not a Freemason. We're able to speak on certain things that, other people would lose their life in regards, because I learned it as a science. I didn't learn it, and that's what it's supposed to be. That's what Morse taught the Freemasons. Uh, Masonry is it's a science. So I've spoken to somebody who was invited to the 33rd degree, and what he realized was that by the time you get to that degree, you're going to end up believing that all things are good that are good are evil, and all things evil are good. It's unfortunate because that's not what it's supposed to be, but you end up realizing that people, and I won't say all, are involved in some very, very horrible things, and some of that may be exposed coming soon. But there are a lot of good people that are part of lodges, but when you get to certain degrees, you find certain you might lose your soul. I'll put it just to put it simply. I'll just leave it like that. Now, as it relates to slavery, we warred back and forth with these warrior class beings that we created. Yes, they do have a failsafe. Primarily, they're just like an orphan looking for love.
That's what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said. Wow. Keep going.
Okay. Well, yeah, they're like an orphan looking for love. That's one of the ways to diffuse them. Um, there's some other things. They do have that sickness where it's built into them to have lesbianism and homosexuality and bestiality. Um, this Baphomet um, sort of let's see. The best way to explain this is all things on the spectrum have to exist for the concept to persist. Um, so if good exists, yes, evil has to exist as its balance, and there's a spectrum or range between those two. That's the principle of polarity. So these are universal principles. It's an unfortunate thing, but it does exist. You can't destroy that energy. It can be limited and trapped, and if you understand it or overstand it, however whatever you want to call it. Um, I don't care too much about the taxonomy of those words, but you can learn how to exercise out demons, and but they you can't destroy them necessarily. You can neutralize them with love. That's the only thing that can overcome these evil principles that unfortunately have to coexist with benevolent or malevolent principles. So there are people who worship this satanic the satanic principles. They are inverse or obverse, converse, the congress, whatever you want to call it. They do worship those deities and beings, and they're trying to physically create uh, what exists in the malevolent world. They're literally trying to, and AI is a part of that creation, unfortunately. Um,
Just to
AI is a part of that. Oh, go ahead.
just to put it back into perspective, the reason why I asked that question regarding the time period or the day of the so-called, the time when we, committed these crimes is because there's something that isn't really talked about yet, and that's the planet Nibaru, and its connection to our higher consciousness. Uh, Now, why is that important? Because that's the Egyptians worship that. That's who the main focus of those tales are based on. But just in case it's not put out there, the last time Nibiru was closest to Earth was about between 525 and 550 BC. What happened in 525 BC? What happened in that time period? Anybody know? The Persians destroyed Egypt. That was the end of dynastic Egypt. When Nibiru, the last time Nibiru came close to Earth, that's when the shift happened. And that's when they took over. Um, so it's definitely something to do with that, and that relates to higher consciousness. If you ever read any of those, well, I don't say fables, but like mythology books about Egypt and whatnot, there were some people who said that the pharaoh had powers and stuff. The priest had actual physical power, like metaphysical powers and things, and that's just tales and stuff. But you know, if we were to believe that, then and we know that Nibiru is related to higher consciousness and whatnot, then that could be some sort of a viable explanation as to why we fail. It might have something to do with our divinity being taken away for a short period. Remember, Nibiru is it's an orbit thing. So,
It's on an elliptical orbit.
yep,
Well,
yep,
that's sort of my wheelhouse. I'm not sure. It's not showing who's speaking. Who said that? Brought up Nibiru.
FBA, sure.
Okay. Um, so all things are happening at congruently at the same time. So if it's happening on a spiritual level, it's happening on a metaphysical, physical level. It's happening
As
out.
above, so below.
It's all But that's the thing. There's a unanimity. Uh, it's all happening at the same time. It may be expressing itself just like as the light goes through the prism. You bend the light. Uh, you know, it, it, it's still coming from that same source, but it's all being expressed in different uh, uh, variations. That's all. People think it's happening at a different time, but it's all on the same timeline. But as it relates to Nibiru, um, that's in my wheelhouse because this is all that I was taught growing up. My mother was initiated. Um, my father. And when I say initiated, I'm talking about you're not you don't sign an application and apply. You're born into these things. It's a bloodline. It's across the bear as well because you have some you have some debilitating physical hereditary things. It's a small bloodline, so sometimes you have some things that are passed down through your bloodline that's part of why I have a hereditary angioedema, so that's kind of why I get excited when I'm speaking. Um, but anyway, let's get into the slavery part. So we had fights with all these created beings, um, and two things happen. I want to answer a question here that heard yesterday. There was a Pangea. There was calamities that happened. It was not just one thing. There were um, there were a very large, very large nuclear bomb that was exploded, and that created the Grand Canyon. That did happen. There were wars all over the planets by these Ogdoad beings.
Hmm.
They also fell as well because that is what entropy is. You can't be on the timeline and go through the cycle and not be affected by it. It's not possible. So it doesn't matter how great somebody talks about this being, as long as it is traversing this earth, it's going to be locked into its gravitational field and you're going to go through the cycle. So that created a large split, and there was also a extremely large cataclysm that began to break apart the once all connected continents. And so that's why
Oh,
that's where more.
It-
Oh, go ahead.
that's where the Pangea.
Yes. So One was that very large nuclear explosion, and um, that's what created the moon. Um,
Mhm.
and that's a deity called Luna that was warring with another demigod. That this is just what I'm taught. But so that happened, and then
This sounds like, and forgive me for interrupting you, but that sounds like the Vedas. Doesn't that sound like the Vedas, Wani?
all these things are connected. It's just a very long timeline, and it's just a lot of overlapping, depending on where you were, but or how it was. You know how it is. You speak from mouth to ear, and the story can change. But at least the important details were preserved. But so once the continents were split, that's how you get mooring or Moors. Those the people that traverse the sea from continent to continent. And there was a period of time where we did feed and clothe and give riches to the world. Mansa Musa was a Moor. Um, we did do very positive things, but we also fell victim to that primitive cycle. And surprise,
Hold that thought, bro. I'm gonna get back to you. Let's hear some more speakers on Wakil. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to the a subject that was brought up that the brother brought up about uh, being able to control the Caucasoid or Flugeroid, however you want to call them. There's a technique that I was introduced to of um, everyone knows that thoughts are things. So you look into the right eye that's connected to the left hemisphere of the brain, which is the creative process of the mind. And then, since thoughts are things, you only have to, while you're looking at, and the way you practice is the reason why they have light eyes, blue eyes, light brown eyes, things of that nature. The pupil or the black dot. I don't know if some people practice meditations or different meditations techniques. So what you can do is you can practice. When I was young, I was taught to practice um, by putting a black dot on a white piece of paper, stare at it, and you'll feel yourself being absorbed into the dot, right? So since thoughts are things, um, our thoughts are actual frequencies. So, since they're actual frequencies, you don't really have to say anything. You don't have to give a verbal command. You can simply look into concentrate on their uh, the people of their right eye. Um, and then because the eyes are so light, it's hard to do it. You'll notice that it's hard to do it to black people if you try this. But so you'll look into their pupil, and then what you'll do is you'll think a thought. To you'll think a thought, whatever thing you want them to do, and to see if it's working, if it's being effective, you just simply have to make a gesture, such as scratch your nose or anything like that. If they follow after you, by scratching their nose or, oh, I got something on my face, whatever, ask that question or whatever, then you know that that connection is made. It's sort of like when a person yawns, that type of connection, you automatically yawn. So you're using the same principle when looking into there. And so whatever thought that you want them to, and it actually works. I've done it many times. I've um, had very how should I say without really putting myself out there? I've had very concrete results that were of an unrighteous nature. If you can understand what I'm saying. So all of these so-called um, school shooters, if you notice, a lot of them, the majority of them are white. The majority of them are of the Caucasoid nature. So a lot of them aren't programmed by other whites. A lot of them are programmed. If you notice, a lot of them do their main victims do be white. So a lot of them are I guess you could say mind controlled or programmed by different melanated. beings or melanated individuals. So there's different techniques that you can use to actually control their mind, very easily, very way easier than even somebody who's melanated, who does not, have any knowledge of self, don't study, don't meditate, eats the worst food, even easy, they're harder to mind control than the most educated. In fact, the more educated the Caucasoid or the Caucasian is, the easier they are to mind control. For some reason, the more intelligent they are, the easier they are, to mind control. So you can control their aura also, um, and things of that nature. Very easy. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I know there's some stuff that I'm missing because it's like a whole kind of study, but those are the main points of the techniques. And if you do further digging, you'll find the rest of it. But I like my point. Thank you.
Wow. We're gonna go to FBA Trade Day.
What up? So one thing to talk about when we talk about, like, because the Hebrew Israelites, they always say, this thing about, we've been punished for being bad and all that stuff. I don't think I don't think none of that's the case. I think there are cycles of consciousness, and I think we're in a low cycle right now.
Right.
Yeah, whites are nothing more than a byproduct of this lower consciousness, of this low conscious cycle. When we rise in consciousness, they'll dissipate. They don't have a purpose in our rise in consciousness. Um, One of the things that I think should really be, really studied a little more are the emerald tablets of Thoth.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's heavy, but one of the heaviest statements that they said in there, and I got it bookmarked somewhere. I got to find it. But they said that the supreme star that guides consciousness for humanity has been replaced with a lesser star, and that's what's guiding humanity today. So
Like the gentleman just said, this is, man. This, I'm sorry, y'all. This space is like puzzle pieces. It's making so much sense. The gentleman, 69 cents, said it was two type of Moors. Moors that follow a greater light and a lesser light. So that's what you're referring to, FBA.
something like that, something like that. The whole of humanity. It wasn't even like, at this point, it's not an option that we follow this lesser star. This lesser star is the star of the lower consciousness. It's a star that people who are not melanated can get in tune with, but it's our lower consciousness. When I'm a Bobby Hemite, so I always reference him. But one thing that he says about these non-melanated beings is that they can't get past the heart chakra, which is linked to consciousness. The crown chakra is
Right.
is linked. Yeah, that's linked to Christ consciousness. That's Christ consciousness, and there are theories that Christ consciousness is linked to, again, that star Nibaru. It's linked to that star when it's in our consciousness. Ultimately, the black man is God. Black man and woman is God. The universe is within us. The universe is within our minds. Everybody else is a byproduct of what we are going through. They are irrelevant to anything. They're obstacles to us rising in consciousness. Uh, I've heard theories that this entire 6,000 year time frame that they say the white man was framed for. This is a period in which we have to burn our karma as melanated people, black people. Um, some people have said horrific theories like reincarnation is real, and in this last, nobody's been to heaven. Nobody's in heaven. Nobody is in heaven yet. In the 6,000 year period, nobody can go to heaven. Everybody's reincarnated based on how they acted in the prior life. And if you study some of those Vedas and whatnot, it's something to where if you live like a dog, you're gonna come back as a dog. Perhaps that's the concept of hell. Have you ever seen a National Geographic and seen how them motherfuckers live? How terrible it is to be a goddamn gazelle in the fucking Serengeti. You about to get eaten, but
Get eaten and raped.
And then imagine if you got to go through that shit for 7 life cycles because you were a fuck boy.
Wow.
Ain't that hell? But that's something that it's crossed my mind before. But in the 6,000 year time frame up until 2012, that was the cycle that we had to go through. We were at a low cycle, and after 2012, that's when the Mayan calendar was tracking that fuck period where we were in the downtrodden stage. 2012 is when it ended. That's why so much change in politics. But I ain't gonna get into the politics and stuff. But you see a lot of stuff changing and stuff. But that 2012 calendar, that just meant that was the end of that 6,000 year fuck period. And after this, accountability is now at stake. We must become gods in order to make it to the next cycle. We were, you know, a lesser version of what we are supposed to be in these last 6,000 years. But after that 2012 period, they're saying that we're supposed to be gods, perfect gods. But if you look at everybody today, you see that's not true. You see that's not the case. You see a lot of our people are fucked up mentally, spiritually, physically. So in my in my theory, the notion of Christ returning to save everybody, I think somebody is going to come back to save the masses of our people who did not make it to that deadline. Because most of our people, they ain't gods. They're human, but they were supposed to build themselves up to be gods. In this time period, a lot of our people look at that as an option, like, but it's really what we're supposed to be doing. If not, then we're the same as the whites. They can never do what we're supposed to do, and their distraction to us to achieving that higher consciousness. But I land on that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when he refers to gods, the term gods is an acronym. It means generator, operator, and destroyer. So it's a status. We're not dealing in blasphemy. We're not talking about the creator. We're talking about God's status. And it's very interesting. Man is a status. Boy rhymes with toy. What do boys do? They play at what? Being a man. Man is a truncated a word. Man means manager, a manager of your affairs, your family. You manage, and God is a step above that. It's generator. You create, you operate, and when it's time is fit, you destroy. Outstanding trade day. Mississippi, what's on your mind?
Uh,
Hold on, respectfully, I think I'm gonna interject because I've been here before Mississippi. He was
Oh,
about to fill
oh
out.
yeah. Next time,
was
raise your.
already here, but I had my hand up for over an hour, and I guess it must have
You
disappeared.
respectfully, you spoke though, right?
No, I haven't
No,
spoken.
yeah.
Okay.
Marok. I'm gonna ask next time that you raise your hand because I didn't see your hand. But if you were here before Mississippi was he here before you?
No, I was one of the third persons on the stage. After Wani stopped talking, I was one of the third person after 69 cent in trade day.
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna let Mississippi go ahead. Marok, you'll be next up. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all want to talk, raise your hand so I can kind of identify who wants to talk, if you don't mind. And if you have your hand up and it's glitching, wave at me or something. Go ahead, Mississippi.
No, I was just going to ask her like a question and everything because I got sort of a connection from listening last night and somewhat of today on specifically that story of Osiris.
Uh huh.
And I basically was asking like, is there a connection between the comedic story of Osiris versus his brother Seth and the legacy of black male castration in the United States?
Yes, sir.
Right, exactly. And I see a connection between the castration and the reconfiguration aspects of that story of Assur and the ritualized castration of black men in America. For example, I mean, we got black.
Mississippi. Let me tell you something while it's hot on my mind, and I'm gonna be codified so them folk don't come looking for me. But if you look at certain secret societies that have a big obelisk that looks like a pencil, I was told that that's that represents Osiris, and it may be, depending on context, maybe kind of like spite, like you didn't, like throwing salt, you know.
Yeah, it's a that the Washington Monument and the one in the middle of the Vatican. Those
Yes, sir.
represent the phallus of Osiris, and a lot of people, some people realize. I think the people who put them there, they realize it, and they're part of that conspiracy. But I wanted to basically saying everything. Today I think it got a lot to do with what goes on in America, and it's still going on today with the whole ritual castration thing. I mean, we got black artists, and I mean, they incentivized to promote homosexuality to our young boys. So we see homosexuality being promoted in music to black youth to emasculate the black men through music as a form of musical castration, like the forced sterilization eugenics program of the 20th century, where we had targeted black men being targeted as inmates for chemical castration. And then you had in the 21st century, which is around now, that the system is using pharmaceuticals and foods and blood pressure pills and marijuana to castrate black men genetically through erectile dysfunction, reduce sperm counts, and shrinkage. Their goal is the same in this system, and it's to emasculate, feminize, and castrate us. But you think about Hollywood and how they require every black male actor, and now it's starting to enter the rap industry where they require them to wear a dress in order to further their careers. And that's also part of that symbolic castration. I heard something about slavery earlier and everything, and I didn't really quite get to finish because I was doing something. But we got to remember, during slavery, black men were denied the right to wear pants on the plantation. Now,
Wow.
when you think about that, why would they deny us the right to wear properly cover our genitalia? Well, it was done for a number of reasons when you think about it. It was to emasculate us physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, to make us feel like less than a man, to dispossess us, demoralize us, to dehumanize us as black men in order to erase our humanity, and to engineer a sense of powerlessness and a perpetual victimhood in order to control us. It was to rob us of our dignity and our manhood through sexual violence, sodomy, and freedom to violate us at will, and to overall erase our sense of pride and our self worth and our self respect that we might hold for ourselves. So, in other words, it was to break us at a physical, a spiritual, a psychological, and a social level at every means possible. Today, we see guys who like to sag and show their underwear in public, and it's reminiscent of the times when slaves was made to walk around on the plantation with their butts exposed for ease of access by the white men. So I see sort of a connection there too, and a way of them self castrating by wearing their clothes that way and doing that. We got to keep in mind that white men by nature are sadistic, cannibalistic homosexuals who homosexuality is part of their very sense of masculinity and manhood. So their obsession with our black phallus comes from their own struggle to balance feelings of disgust. And they jealous and they envy against us as black men, which is why they drove into practice exclusively in America ritual castration during lynchings. We were the only group in the world who were castrated during our lynchings, especially in America. In the 1977 book they had written in the Black Male of America by Wilson and Taylor that white men see us as the essence of his own sexuality or those qualities that he wishes for but fears that he does not possess, and that is why the white male seeks to castrate us, because through the castration ritual white men had hoped to acquire the powers they assigned to the Negro phallus, which they symbolically extol as the act of destroying. This correlates perfectly with the story of Osiris, as far as I'm concerned, and how his brother Seth specifically seek to destroy his phallus in the phallus of the Lord of the Perfect Black. And I think it's a direct correlation that we're facing today. And they seek to castrate us physically and symbolically through dismemberment. And they use different methods today and throughout history to castrate black men on a physical, spiritual, and metaphysical level. Enslaved black women would be subjected to rape and torture by enslavers and overseers in front of their black husbands, black sons, black fathers, black grandfathers, black brothers, and sometimes whole villages in order to invoke a sense of powerlessness in black men. Hearing them screaming and pleas while they're being raped
and beaten and not having the ability to stop them led to that further detriment of our mental status. The goal was to mentally and spiritually castrate black men by forcing him to watch, and sometimes at gunpoint, his wife, his mama, his daughter, his sister, his grandma, or the grandchild being raped in front of him and beaten in order to break his spirit and strip him of his ability to protect his black women. And the further castration process, these people or whatever, they would do this in front of people's wives and they would be forced
Well,
to.
well, I want to point out something while this is hot. I'm doing a lot of research for a book that I'm really working on real slow. I don't talk much about this book, but I'm talking about Lincoln and well, I'm not going to talk too much about it. But what I have found through rare books is, and I've showed Wani this, the whole pointed hat and hoods that goes back to Spain, and it's all the same protocol, castrating the big black male. In Spain, they celebrate it with the running of the bulls. Um, um, you know, but all I'm trying to say is this: you're looking at something that's very old and very symbolic, and I'm very excited today because I feel like I have some missing through Trade A and 69. I got a couple pieces that really making stuff make sense to me. Um, Go ahead and land your plane right quick, Mississippi. We're gonna go to Morocco, and then we'll move to Loud Green.
Okay. No, I was just gonna finish. I was gonna quote a little bit of scholarship on that one. But they forced our women and those black men back then to take care of those illegitimate half breed offspring of rape after they did that in front of those men. And it wasn't just that, but black men would sometimes be raped in front of their wives, sons, daughters, and families to psychologically terrorize and castrate black men, their sons, their fathers, their brothers, and everyone watching to break their spirits in an attempt to instill fear into them, especially if they were strong-minded. If you read the book The Delectable Negro on page 106 and 107, the author talked about the fact that Frederick Douglass wrote a letter recounting how his white slave master sent him to a slave breaker named Convey for disobedience, and how the slave breaker stripped him of nude and, quote, tore into his flesh with pleasure, excitement, and physical climax, where Douglas admits the breaker tortured him at least once a week for 6 months, and how he did not have the heart to repeat the details of the violation which he experienced that could fill a book, and he claimed that it broke him, implying that he was sexually violated or raped, and that was a form of sexual castration. Slave owners made it a mission to use the diminutive term boy to address black men to rob us of our status as men and to verbally and linguistically castrate us because white males are weakly sexed, they genetically inferior, and they want to strain their strain of masculinity to be the only strain of masculinity on this planet, which is why they demanded that slaves refer to them as the man or Mr. in those days. And according to Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, thousands upon thousands of black men were lynched and castrated to drive home the message that white men intended to control the balls in the world, both on and off the court. So we're the only American group
The,
where our
a,
women.
a good point to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm seeing real clear in this space is all of these scholars, all of this shit is related. It's the same issue. Dr. Welsing's talking about, and it's beautiful in my mind the way it's playing out right now because I'm seeing all these scholars, from Dr. Welsing to Frederick Douglass, and I have Frederick Douglass's book. Every time I attempt to bring it to the space, I start reading out of it, and I'm just like, no, I can't do it because it's so just heartbreaking to read it. But all of this is related to the same thing, like Wani and I specified yesterday, feminism. And if you look back through the jumbotron, I put something up there, and we kind of got carried away and kept going because it was so wonderful. But if you flip through the jumbotron, you see I have a passage that says socialism, Nazism, occult, temple of Set, and feminism ellipsis is related question mark. Look at that.
Mm.
Look at
Professor.
hold on one second.
Okay.
Look at Helen Keller. Helen Keller which I've identified in about 6 months ago in a space. Helen Keller was used as a kind of a political tool to initiate white feminism in America. And after research, that confused me. Helen Keller, you know, but I found out Helen Keller was part of the occult, and it's evidence of that in the jumbotron. But in conclusion, before I ramble on, it's all related to one singularity, which we've identified in the space. Quickly, we're gonna go to Marat, and then we're gonna
I wanted to say
go ahead,
something
Wani.
in between. They may have done all those things and they called us boys and all this other stuff, but at the end of it, uh, Black American men can take their women at will,
Right.
and they want to be cowboys. Never forget that. They didn't break us. I don't care what they tried to do, they never broke us.
We're unbroken. Yes, I was listening to Tariq Space, a rerun today, and it was a suspected white supremacist got up there trying to make fun of trying to poke fun at us and at Tariq, and Tariq shut his ass down by saying, your women prefer black men. Is that what you mad about? And he started stuttering. He couldn't handle it because there's an element of truth there. It's anger. You're listening to vitriol because what Wani said is true. There's a preference there for whatever reason. There's a preference there, and it's burning. It burns a lot of them down to the core.
Hey, Wani, I had a quick question, really quick. Um, I was listening, and I was looking at more of the information. Do you think there's a connection between that and what they do today in the household of Black Americans and everything? I mean, you got to think about this. As Black men, we the only group in America where our women are collectively allowed to move to higher positions in the job market and to earn a bit more than their men in most cases and everything, and become head of household and as breadwinners. And I think it's done to emasculate and castrate black men on the economic and to dispossess us of our manhood in the home. And I do believe that, it's sort of like a new way and an old way that they're doing it, where this system is aiming to castrate us through the police killings. Every year we witness another unarmed black man being gunned down by cops on the streets in random traffic stops, and charges, if there is any charges, being dropped with impunity in a gross miscarriage of justice. And last year we watched Jordan Neely get strangled to death in public, and his murderer got acquitted and invited to the White House as a hero.
Well, I'll answer that. They've tried psychologically to attack black men, and they've killed us and stuff, but they cannot be victorious against a black male for reasons Wani brought up earlier. So, what the system of white supremacy identified that Dr. Franz Cress Welsing put in ISIS paper so eloquently is the white power structure uses the black female against the black male. It's really deep. It's almost like I can't attack you because you're a superhero black man. I don't have that type of power to attack you. So let me tempt your help. Let me tempt your other half and pit her against you because she's equal footing and she has the power to strike you. And it's very symbolic if you look at biblical canon. Dr. Welsing said that the story of the Holy Bible was not for black people, it was for Europeans. That's what Welsing said. And if what Welsing said is true, the story of Eve and the temptation by the serpent makes sense because that's exactly what they've done to black women. Morak, go ahead and go. Or Morak.
Sorry, I'll it went off just a little bit slightly of what I wanted to respond to. I'll respond after 6 9.
Okay, cool. Loud Green. What's going on? Loud S Green. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's going on
All
with
right,
you?
I'll be real quick. Check this out. If you can have a moment to Google the United Brotherhood of Carpentry, and
Of
also
what?
United Brotherhood of Carpenters.
Carpenters.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. My grandfather was a member, third generation, in fact. It was established in like the 1800s, 1880s, after Reconstruction, and after that they established the National Black Carpenters Union because they didn't allow the black uh, folks in, the union back in the days. So my grandfather built multiple brick homes where I'm from. Built his own brick home back in 1940, 40, 43. He was born in 1926. My grandmother was born in 1922. She's still alive. She's 101 years old. And that house still stands. Now, the thing is with the black churches and the black homes in our communities that were built out of brick and built out of mortar and built out of solid wood, they were built to last. Those homes still stand today. So when you think about, all these other organizations and, the Masons, other stars, you need to look into the black carpenters because we built this entire nation. We didn't,
Yeah,
you know,
yes, and the vector of it, and which I'm going to interject right quick. Booker T. Washington was kind of responsible for that ideology of black men need, the hell with school and title and prestige. Fuck that. We need practicality. Black men need to build. Black men all learn carpentry and brick masonry, and black women, you need to build too, but you building other things. You're building clothes. That ideology right there, like your granddaddy building houses, gave us enough wealth to have a Black Wall Street. What I'm trying to say is, we were sold a deal of goods by elitist like my fallen brother W. Du Bois, who came and undid what Booker T. Washington did by telling everybody we need a savior figure, we need a somebody to come through and save us, which is Luciferian really in its doctrine. So yeah, so in conclusion, we need to go back to that. Is all I'm saying, brother. We need to go back to building our own shit. Cause your granddaddy house still standing. I know somebody who got a house in Atlanta, $1 million home, and the shit falling apart already, and it was built in the 2000s. You know,
yeah,
I
especially
wanted
when you
to
get them
say,
other people, come in and build houses for cheap labor. They leave
right?
your house
Mhm.
all messed up, and you got to
Yeah.
call
Go
somebody
ahead,
else
I
one.
to come and repair. I'm sorry, Miss One. How you doing, Miss One?
You
It's
good, Green?
okay. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
I just wanted to say this. I didn't want a bad statement about black men. They have a higher median earnings than black women. So, and just wanted to put that out there. In some cases, women are more educated or younger. They may out earn, but overall, black men earn more money than black women.
And
True,
let's
and
be honest.
a lot of the issues you see that confuse us with respect to what Wani said is just bullshit propaganda. TV and the internet and all these images, what Professor Chris Hedges called electronic hallucinations, do not match reality. I almost got brainwashed when I first got on Spaces that black men were just dating outside the race left and right because I watched the news and I watched TV. And I think Wani's or somebody was like, "No, that's not true. That's not statistically true." So I did a self analysis in Memphis and in Birmingham and in Atlanta of just analyzing black men in my surroundings to see if they were dating outside the race. And lo and behold, black men will walk around 80% of the time, in my calculation, with black women. So we got to be careful of these
Yep.
elections.
Also,
Yeah, bro.
And
can I say something? According to the
Go ahead.
newly released data, black men are no longer at the bottom. We actually out earn, every other group except, the Asians, but there's a small percentage. And white men only about $100. The gap is closing. They can't
Hmm.
lie no more because the data is there, and we live in the age of information. So all that,
Right.
oh, you black man ain't nothing, y'all ain't working, y'all broke. Not according to the statistics, to the data.
They
It
can't.
says that
They can't
our
hide it.
median income
Japan,
is basically right on par with basically everybody else and growing.
right?
That's a
But
sign of growth.
bro,
That is a sign of growth.
their whole campaign of psychological warfare on me and on black men, American men, that shit's failing miserably right now. The goddamn national government of Japan is seeking black men to be sperm donors for their women. They know
And
we
it's not
rock
only
stars.
Japan. I mean,
Yeah.
the
After telling
European
me that,
nations are begging people to come over there and fornicate and whatever, make
and
babies
after
because they
after
dying
they put
out.
all the after they begged a bunch of white people to come over there talking about, they got on them too. They said, "Why are you trying to get white sperm over here?" And they said, "Oh, we just want our children to be taller." No, if you want them to be healthy and attractive, you know where to go.
Yeah, they cut
Okay?
it back from the breeding farms.
It's a black neighborhood in Japan called Rupung. I might be saying it wrong, but Roppongi. That's like the black neighborhood. And my homeboy, he stationed over there in the military. He said, "Girl, like bad Japanese girls be going over there looking for, like brothers. It's like a diamond ring. They looking for who? Where the black men at? Where the black? And
What's
not
a
just that.
bad Japanese woman look like?
That's his word. Some bad Japanese. I don't know. You know what I'm attracted to,
What
but
does it look like? Though?
I don't know. Like attractive, I guess.
What's the features?
I don't know. I'm not really into no disrespect, but I'm not into Japanese girls like that. Um, I don't know. I'm
Ask
not.
any brother
That's
who's in the army that gets stationed overseas, who flocks to them.
mm.
As soon as they
Yeah,
see a
but he said
brother, guess what?
they call
Everybody will.
they call it's a term for it, Wani. It's called rapungi hunting. I'm going rapungi hunting. That means I'm going to rapungi looking for me a brother.
And
Oh,
Mm.
and-
that's right. And that's
See, I know that
based on,
because my cousin, he's in the Navy. He tell me all kind of terms. He was stationed in Japan, Africa, all over the states. I mean, all over the globe. And he's like, yeah, man, when you go out there, man, you got to turn it down quick because they have an
y-
agenda. And they will
yeah.
sometimes get over here and hit you with a domestic violence suit that is false, just so they can get that fast track to citizenship. See, don't tell you about that. Them
All
credits
right,
don't tell
we're
you
gonna
about it.
go to 69. Go ahead, 69.
Thank you, brother. Wow, there's a lot of there's a lot of interesting things that were brought up, and I'm going to try to tackle them point for point very quickly. Okay, so I'm just going to run down based on what I've heard, but I'll start it with this. Um, I'll take it upon myself to earnestly apologize for setting the sequence of events that caused uh, downfall that affected so many different people, including the people that are here in the Americas, South was called North America, and Canada, Alaska. So, and Moors were a part of that. So, if nobody has said that, I, apologize and I'm sorry for our part in that. But in saying so, we are working, um, not enough, unfortunately, but more than you think, are working to right those wrongs. When we are and we approach people in different status of government. I've had this experience in a limited capacity myself. Yes, they do worship us. I've had elderly white women, gray hair, bow to me literally. I've, what they normally do is they'll bring us through they have these doors that are sort of seamless in the courthouses, and it's the part of the court with the checkered floor. They'll bring us there, and usually there's no cameras, and then we'll negotiate or work out a deal there. Um, and a lot of times either it's a 50-50 or 80-20 or a dismissal, um, depending on how we present ourselves in that arena. Not saying I'm not trying to entice anybody. I actually discourage people from, um, and it's a very pernicious problem as it relates to more sovereign citizens. I discourage people very highly from it. This is not a that's not that's a perversion of true more science. Part of what was brought over by uh, Noble Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, also known as Noble Drew Ali. It's something that's a big problem, but those people take themselves out for their ego and their grandiose and short-sightedness and their god complex. We shouldn't want to be gods, but we should be um, balanced within ourselves, seek supreme balance within ourselves. You become a tyrant when you try to become a god. That's happened so many times before. And when you try to do that, you're going to end up replacing the aristocrats that you once hated. You become your own enemy, and that's part of why the apology is needed. So let me go real quick. The reason I brought up the cataclysms is because there are multiple times that we civilized those beings, but also when certain cataclysms happen, we went behind the waterfalls, which are the entryways into the earth, and and the cave systems. There are as above, so below. There are inner earth realms, and there's still elders there that tell the world leaders what to do. Okay, some of those Ogdoad, these beings don't have the same lifespans as we do, and so they went into the inner earth, and those beings that were in certain above ground caves, they came down and they dug those secrets out of the mud. Okay, and that's where some people talk about Tartaria, and
Wow, 69. I gotta interrupt. I'm sorry, brother, to interrupt you, but I just got to. Everything you've been saying since you've been on this space is verified with fucking scholarship I've seen in unrelated. I mean, what you're saying right now, I saw in an unclassified fucking document. So these subterranean or reptilian nature,
there's a variety. There's always a spectrum when it comes to certain things. Now, as it relates to us being the children of what I would call them the 24 elders, of one which is actually presents as a pale skinned being. Actually, they look albino, I would have to say, Sandalphon. But the 24 elders, they're all melanated beings. You know,
right?
4C kinky hair beings. But yeah, my entire life, and because of my bloodline, I've known, especially when I was in the military, they took a special liking to me. But I've known very highly classified information um, my entire life. But so that's why things that I'm talking about without seeing those same documents, I'm sure I'm hitting on. But yes, they do show us those records because we won't get upset when learning about that knowledge. But so anyway, so these beings came out of the caves, and they did d- because of floods. Floods did happen um, around the world, and you were taught that they happened in Egypt, but they actually happened here in the Americas, North and South America, specifically in California. Okay, and excuse me, they dug a lot of our temples and cities that were already built here out of the mud. That's what that relates to. Now, the brother spoke about the phallic worship. Yes,
Hold on, start right there. The temples you talking about? Are you would you be referring to like maybe courthouses and shit that's downtown?
a lot of the cornerstones of courthouses will say that they were built
Yes.
by Masonic
Ah,
lodges.
oh yes.
Yes, so they're dedicated. They were already here. A lot of them
Damn.
were. These are
I
ancient
knew it.
structures. Yes, that is true. That is correct. I don't like a lot of these new corporate sort of courthouses. They're like have a hospital building or some other kind of. They're not our old ancient structures. Some of the new ones. I don't particularly care for them. But there's a part in the courthouse that has no cameras and checkered floors. I've been invited to them sometimes to work out a deal or to be threatened, depending on what I was doing. Um,
Are you an attorney?
no, I've spent time traveling around in a former life, getting our people out of jail and in different situations. I used to travel around with other Moors. Um, you didn't have to be a Moor for us to get you out of jail, but we have different techniques to do so. And the reason being is because our father, as it relates to Hamitic religions, um, the Prophet Muhammad made 500 over 500 treaties with the European nations after we civilized them. And recently, a certain group called the Moorish Society went and pulled all of those treaties. And when they requested those treaties, they actually rolled out a red carpet and treated them as royalty. And so we pulled those treaties, and we're in the process of basically bringing back uh, our empire and kingdom back to fruition. So that's what's slowly being done. But we have to take examples of how to run government, and that's the part about joining the family of nations. We're coming out of our primitive cycle, and as we show that we understand law, one thing that I'm gonna drop a little jewel for you, Professor Allen. Uh, it's in Islam, especially the parallel Arab version. It's highly dangerous to make a picture or a illustration of the Prophet Muhammad. On our Supreme Court here in America, there's actually a carving of the Prophet Muhammad, very large carving. You can Google that, because this is a Mohammedan nation. Okay, so the laws relative to this nation in the original 13 colonies were created by Moorish bloodlines. When I say more, you don't have to, whatever you want to call yourself, we share the melanin, but it's these specific beings here in the Americas is what I'm talking about. And we do have connection through Utah and the Grand Canyon towards California. Those were connected with Egypt as well. This is an Egypt of the West, and there's an Egypt in the Orient. This is the Occidental. Okay. So, okay, the phallic worship, the temple of, the Brotherhood of Men, MIN. I can speak about this because the apron of the Freemasons, when you create a being, sometimes it's impotent or impotent, sort of like a donkey. And a part of our acculturation of these created beings was to bring them into civilized enlightenment if they could work against gravity using levity to raise up their phallic member. And if they could raise the apron up, then that was that was a part of the initiation process. That's what the apron is um, for you to be able to raise your phallic member up, because a lot of them were impotent. Okay. Um, when it comes to the us being tied to the universe, yes, we are. The macro and the microcosm are all connected. We are the black sun, our melanin. The reason that why they couldn't kill us is because literally this solar system would collapse. We're directly tied to melanin is black matter, is dark matter, and all darkness is actually light. All darkness is the culmination of light, the source of light.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So one of the
Ladies and gentlemen, I used to teach physics. I taught physics for 2 years, and what I tell my would tell my students is light. We measure light in temperature. It's a Kelvin scale. So basically, firemen know this. If you see a fire and it's orange, it's probably 600 degrees. A red fire, red is 500 degrees Kelvin. Yellow is 1,000 degrees. Bright yellow is 2,000. Anyway, white sunlight is 5,500 degrees Kelvin. Now those headlights, those BMW and Lexus headlights that are blue, that's a 6,000 plus. Well, one thing I note when I was teaching physics is I bought some headlights from my car and I started fucking with the computer to raise the temperature before they blew up. And when they got to about 9,000 Kelvin, they were turning purple. But you know what happened when you get above like 10,000, 11,000 Kelvin? The color gets darker. 12,000 Kelvin is deep purple. And I pulled up a Kelvin scale for the universe, and like 1,000,000 degrees Kelvin is a color that we don't have our bodies don't have the capability of, our eyeballs can't perceive it. So all that blackness you see in the sky at night is a frequency of light that your body can't understand. Darkness is light, ladies and gentlemen. Let there be light is really another way of saying let there be darkness.
You're absolutely right. Correct. And you can see this when you go into a dark room and you close your eyes. You'll see the ether in your blood. It's the light or the
Right.
oxygen in your red corpuscles. That is the light within the darkness that you can't comprehend, or the triple darkness.
Triple
Um,
darkness, yes.
Correct. That's ether. Ether. You'll see purple. You should see purple, what appears to be white light, and green light. Um, I guess maybe some people you might see amber, but that's Al Qadir, the green one, or Melchizedek, and these are different principles. But purple.
Uh-oh. Tell me, what's Melchizedek? What is that?
Well, okay, so there's positive and negative. Okay, Melchizedek is the angel, is the archangel. Okay, but it depends on how it's presented. I in some instances during a Lucifer, a primitive cycle, it would be Moloch.
Oh, wow. You heard that, Wani?
It depends on what cycle you're
Yes.
in.
Wow.
It's based on
So
bear.
hold on. You're saying a whole lot. So Moloch, the deity that these famous people worship, you're saying is a lesser deity. It's a lower timber of light.
Depending on the cycle. So it's based on barometric pressure. When you change the pressure of the condition of the environment, whatever physics, the physics change. The physics and the result of the action changes. So
Yeah.
you can use fire for positive or for negative reasons. So
And what he's saying is true, ladies and gentlemen, because barometric pressure determines the speed at which you travel. You break the speed of sound. The speed of breaking the speed of sound at higher altitudes is slower than at lower altitudes. Like it's what he's saying is related.
when you
It's
change the
true.
density, then you get into waves, radio waves, whatever kind of wave it is, whatever scalar wave. I don't care what kind of wave it is. It's a wave. It's an oscillation or an iteration. When you change the density, you change the pressure. That's the one constant is the pressure. So he's the archangel, and in positive cycles, he's a redeemer. He's a reformer. It's positive. He's an angel of the Most High. Okay, so some people get caught up in now in the mystery school. Which I am part of a mystery school, but again, you're born into it. It's more. I don't have a problem with initiates, but I'm saying something. It's slightly different when you have a very specific bloodline. You can't choose these things. It's unfortunate for some people who are born into more negative secret societies, but I wasn't born
What
into.
is it possible for you not to have family members involved that you know of, but the mystery school chooses you?
Yes. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Uh,
But you have
Interesting.
to accept it.
Did we cover what the bloodline was?
Oh, for me, well, I'm I've just done my genealogy recently, and I was kind of surprised. I've I know of. It's different when you hear things when you're a child, or your mother, your grandmother, and those people tell you certain things. It's different when you actually find some proof of it. So I recently went through my records, and a lot of well, I'll say Naismith in the Carolinas. Naismith was a very prolific slave owner, but also a high aristocrat in Europe. So that would be one. But also, I'm related to on both sides, so both continents. So I'm related to uh, the Prophet Muhammad's bloodline and um, Ben York, Sacagawea, those people here. So I have Aboriginal bloodline, and I have European Moorish bloodline. And when I say European, they weren't always.
Where's the Moorish part from?
Well, okay, so I'm related to Dr. Malachi Z. York.
Oh man, love Malachi.
And I'll say this, I'll preface it with this. I have all of his unredacted court documents from beginning to ending. And my mother was the only person that he called to testify uh, as a witness for him because she knew the people who made the accusations against him. I have DNA, all the DNA evidence and everything like that, and I actually knew some of the people who made those accusations. I have some of it in digitized format, but I have the whole entire case in multiple safes. Um, he did not do what he
No,
was
he
accused
didn't.
of.
Hell no, he didn't, man. I was looking at that case. I've been following Malachi for years, and man, he's a genius, by the way. But I go ahead. Oh, I was following his case, and I looked at who testified. Y'all know who testified against him? What's that motherfucker's name? That raccoon doctor. What's his name? Doctor Lamont something Lamont Hill.
Yes.
I
Um,
was like, come on
Oh,
now, this
Mark
is a
Lamont
setup.
Hill.
Yeah, man, he
I
testified.
hate him.
Where is he
Yeah.
from? Where is this? Where
Mark,
is Malachi York from?
oh, New York, right?
What's his bloodline?
so he was brought over from Sudan. He comes out of Sudanic Sufi royalty out of Sudan, but he was brought to Massachusetts, and he has a he was sort of anchored here, um, and
It says his group is part of the Black Hebrews phenomena under the name Nubian Islamic Hebrews.
correct, correct. Now, I will say this: when we first, because I just saw it on TV, and I have to say he was there when I was born. Okay, um, um, but when we saw it on TV, we didn't automatically believe that he was innocent. Yes, unfortunately, things that were, and I learned everything as science. It's now a religion of some real idiots. The way it currently is, people who follow, whatever they're doing now.
The Nuwapians.
Oh man, these it's very unfortunate things. It was actually done by design because the devil seeks knowledge and wants to preside over all knowledge. And so people who are there's a lot of mentally ill people who sought after what he was teaching, and a lot of people in in government and people that you won't see in government that actually control those people were attracted to him. And so a lot of those devils came around him and focused on him and his family. And for anybody else that got away, um, he trapped those people into what is currently a religion there that's seeking that knowledge. It's a war tactic, but
Eh, hold on. Who is it? Who are the be literal? Who when you first say the word devil and devils plural? Who exactly are you referring to?
it's just a part of polarity. It's you can't have positivity without negativity. But uh, people who aren't honest.
Oh, okay.
It's just people who aren't honest with themselves. So, like I said, when we saw this, we didn't automatically believe he was innocent. It's just we had no reason to think he was guilty, but we waited to find out the proof. Okay, these people going forward, they're not. I don't know what's wrong with them, but a lot of them have mental issues, and they truly think they're going to be saved. And the bureau's coming to pick them up. If you believe that, well, you have a lot of mental issues. Honestly, you think you're so special that some planet is going to come and save you. That that's the trick. That's the devils think they're that fucking special. They really do. But
But he's in jail now.
yes, yes. Well, I mean, I've seen the DNA evidence, and I grew up around a lot of these people. They have a lot of STDs that he did not have, um, and they made some pretty fanciful, wild, outlandish saying, he did just the most heinous, worst things. Honestly, what happened was there was a lot of men, and it is part of his fault. There's a lot of men that their wives were attracted to his power and who he was, and his knowledge and his mind, and they, some of their wives or women chose up, and that caused a lot of jealousy. So there was some of that, and then also the Blue Lodge, Freemasonic Lodge, as well as the I would say the probably the Baptist Church, um, African Methodist Episcopal. When he started moving into Christianity, or what he called the Christ Church,
Yeah, Karist, the
yes,
bring of gifts.
when he moved there, they were fine. The Shriner Lodge protected him, but the Blue Lodge were very upset. The Prince Hall of Freemasons, they concocted, and I have proof of this. I have printouts of their what do they call those message boards.
I don't
Actually,
see. I'm learning that the Hebrew Israelites have woven themselves into this. And I'm going to ask you, do you believe in this 12 tribes of Israel stuff?
mm, I mean, it's a very real thing. I have books, very.
And where do you feel these tribes are right now? Do they have anything to do with Black
Oh,
Americans,
everybody scattered
according
to
to
the
you?
everybody scattered to the winds.
Okay.
Honestly,
Well, we're talking about us, Black Americans.
well, we're a special people. As far as I know, we're a
But
special
we're not
people.
Moors. You're
No,
a type of person, and I'm a type of person because I'm not a Moor.
yeah, I don't care about the titles. I'm not stuck on those titles. Like I said, I was appointed a position, but I'm not stuck on
Right.
that
But you
title.
said you had a bloodline, and some of these religions are bloodline related,
Yeah,
like the Jews.
yes. I mean, I can't change that. It's just what I was born into. Um,
So the 12 tribes are, name them.
I don't know offhand. I used to teach these things and memorize all this stuff. Um, when I was younger, but I couldn't just roll them off.
What location in Africa did they come from?
I couldn't tell you very specifically.
Not even the region?
No, I only focus on law right now. That's the only thing I focus on. A lot of things. Uh, I've in when I was younger, I used to literally spend a lot of my younger life studying these things and commit them to memory. And honestly, I'm just not into that information anymore. I'm very traumatized by a lot of what happened, and I just it's kind of blocked out. I used to be able to just run off those type of things to you,
Well,
but no.
well, speaking of studying, ladies and gentlemen, I wrote a book for True Black History that has verifiable scholarship in it. While I was professing at a historically black college, if you go to the jumbotron and look for Our Story Publications, you can purchase my a book. I have new copies in for $25 by going to Cash App, putting $25 on the Cash App at Our Story Publications, and putting your full address and name and zip code in the Cash App, and I will send out a book in a couple of days. I had a big order this week. Thank you for if you purchased. Thank you for purchasing, and those books will be shipped out this Saturday. One more thing, the gentleman talked about the triple blackness of space, and I made a real bold claim. I said that as temperature increases, in other words, as energy becomes more increases, the color gets darker until it gets beyond our perception. If you click in the jumbotron and look at the temperature scale, you look at 5,000 degrees Kelvin, you see a bright white light. Look at what 10,000 degrees Kelvin. Notice how the hotter it gets, the light gets darker. Not only does it get darker, it gets weird. It gets like purplish and these weird plasmatic colors. And last but not least, if you look at the chakra system, of the human body. Those colors are not by accident. A low color, red, is a low temperature. Red is your root chakra, which controls anger. Anger is a low emotion. Got it? And watch the colors as they get to higher emotion. You see the color? They get darker. until it gets past your physical body in the crown chakra, which is outside of your body, which is a dark triple black color that you cannot perceive with your naked eye. You see the connection?
That's what I was born into. That purple light is the order of the black light. That's when you see the purple light. It's called the order of the black light. But
Well, brother, I must have been born into it as well.
well, I wanted to just leave with this. We put, when I say we, I'm just talking about something that's circumstantial. And again, I've already made the apologies. But we put these um, Caucasoid people into position after calamities to show us how to run government. Um, and then once we came out of our ignorance,
That's what Bobby
then
Hemmett said.
then which is starting to happen. Once we learn laws, or Allah, all laws, um, we learn how to properly apply them, and it's just reading comprehension primarily. Some of it is shrouded in legalese, but legal comprehension, that's where the key of knowledge is hidden. When you're able to decode or decrypt, or that cipher, or Lucifer, then you're able to rise up. I'm not saying like I can just tell any white person what to do, but I've had some very interesting. Um, it's not just bowing. I don't want them to bow. I'm not trying to mix in with them. I don't care like that. But when you do know these things, they will show you private records. It helps to know Latin, or most law is in Latin or Moorish Latin. A lot of that information was erased due to a papal bull in the unification of the Christian church, where they were allowed to worship themselves by whitewashing us as gods. In the secret societies, they all worship melanin people. It doesn't matter. They still do it today, but in public, they worship gods that look like themselves because they're allowed to do it. But we put them in power as our trustees, and
Is that why the Vatican allegedly at the Vatican the Pope allegedly worships a black Madonna?
No, he outright does it.
oh, in public,
It's
all
not
of them.
allegedly.
Oh wow, I wasn't sure if
They
I.
do it. They do it in a lot of places: Spain, Italy, Russia.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
why is that again? Explain that to me, like I'm a kindergartner.
Oh, well, I mean, we are their abs. That's the breakdown of the word aboriginal. It's actually based upon the charter that was provided here. Ab in Arabic means father, or abi. Um, People think it's converse, or not original. It's not what that aboriginal means. It means the father, original father. Um, so that's why we call ourselves aboriginals. Um, but yeah, we put them in power, and slowly, as we begin to learn how to assert ourselves and comprehend law, then they're going to restore us back to our venerated positions, and that's what's happening. You don't have to learn law. I don't want that's not You don't have to do that, but just us asserting ourselves the way we're doing. I don't need anybody. I'm not trying to get anybody. I don't really want anybody to join any Moorish groups or Moors or anything like that. There's way too many um, negative people that have surrounded themselves with that. Because, like I've had when I was younger in this travel, uh, I I was speeding one time, and I got a super speeder ticket, and because I was a Moor, the police officer didn't put uh, handcuffs on me, and I was actually I was actually helping him write up his affidavit against me. I got that case dismissed, but I mean they treat us very differently, um, and that's why it's our responsibility to clean up the mess that we.
How do they know who you are?
It's mainly how you it's signs and symbols. It's
Oh,
mainly signs.
like masonry.
Masonry is an organization of of scientific principle of what just is. you can't get around us being the fathers, the mothers and fathers of all created, or other races of beings. But the organization of that is masonry. So there's hands, grips, and signals and signs. And again, like I said, I this is just something that's in everything I've ever known and seen. I'm not an initiate of a temple, Masonic lodge or temple, but I'm a part of. I was born into secret societies that are a bit above some of those. I do have to. I follow rules and everything, but again, like I haven't taken an oath to not reveal these sort of secrets. Um, so that's why I can speak freely without worry of any kind of retaliation. But yeah, as
No.
we unify, then they're going to restore us. I'll say this: you can Google, like the sister Wani said, CNN. They had both popes. There was a time when there was two popes serving at one time. They're kneeling to the Black Madonna, and I would encourage you to Google just the term in image searches for Google Black Madonna. You'll see white people all over the world worshiping the mother, feminine, divine feminine, and the child. Okay, so they know, and um,
So
let me
let
get
me
my
ask you a
thoughts
question.
together
You said
here.
the child. Do you believe that the Charist, the Christ or the Charist, is going to come back, or as one person, or through all of us?
It happens all at the same time, so it can personify as a person if we so choose. Unfortunately, a lot of times we do um, crucify that personification. But really, what it is solar winds. It's kind of, if you look at cell mitosis, and also just the influence of gravitational pulls, and the when I say solar winds, I'm talking about debris fields as well. So that's where you get Saturnalia from, and this push to try to get to Mars. So that's who a lot of these secret societies worship: Mars, and Saturn. But for us, we are sun people.
Yeah, yeah. Saturn. Come on with it. Why is Saturn
Mhm.
associated with Lucifer?
Sartan, or Satan. It's just is. If there's it's the negative. Um, it's the negative physical manifestation of the opposite of positivity. So there's nine ether and the six ether. It has to exist.
Saturn is six ether.
Correct.
Wow,
Correct.
and the sun is nine ether. Tell me that's true.
Yes. That correct.
You don't want to know how I know that, Wanda? You remember what I told you?
Mhm.
Yep. You see? Wow.
Again, like I said, they literally have a doctrine. I have to pull this up, but there's some. I share with you, Sister Wani, some of these researchers that know these things, but they have a doctrine within the court system that allows them to plead insanity because they're not able to process the sunlight, and that's what causes them to have these psychosis, killer thoughts. It causes them to go crazy because they're not able to photosynthesize sunlight.
Now, when you said you would be restored to your rightful position,
Yes. Thank you for
that's
reminding me
just
about. Hmm.
Moors.
No, no, absolutely not. Um, no. So again, you want to be weary, and I'm weary of this too, of people who want power. People who want power, and I a small group, along including myself, watch people who want power. The people who want to be in positions of power that look like you, um, are willing to do all of the things to keep that power that your Caucasian, so-called, the white man enslaver, or whoever you want to put it. That the people who want power are very dangerous. The people who want balance and peace is and self-control, all right, power over yourself, that's different. But the people who want to control and have power and lord over others, those are dangerous. And that's something you got to watch out for. So There's an interview. I have to find it. I believe it was on this podcast called Flagrant with a comedian called Andrew Schultz. I believe it was on that one, but JFK said that his family was trying to bring black people back into power here. That was the goal of his family, of the Kennedys, was to bring. And again, listen to, I said it for a reason, to bring us back into power. We've been in power here on this land before. It didn't start with George Washington. He was appointed. He was a general that was appointed. His presidents that are omitted.
Well, 69, I'm going to ask you something you said earlier that's kind of sticking to me. Let me ask you an opinion. Let's say you were a young man who wasn't had no fancy lineage, and you just from the America, from the projects, and you were looking at this, you sun gazed for some reason, and let's just say the sun may have sent you some very interesting messages that you perceive to be messages. And let's say you were staring at this, your sun gazing one day, and the sun clearly sent you the number 9. What would that mean to you?
If you just heard nine or you saw nine.
No, you saw it.
mm,
Let's just say you saw it like a download, and then you looked around and you saw nines everywhere. Like, for instance, the speed limit is 45 miles per hour, 4 and 5 is 9, and
right.
a whole bunch of that. What would that mean to you?
Uh, so this actually happens when you have a solar eclipse. If you look up a solar eclipse, and you look at the shadows that are cast during a solar eclipse, you'll see the it's actually creating nines. It's just a golden mean ratio.
But
And
what if it wasn't a solar eclipse?
well, that phenomena allows you to see actually how light presents itself. It's unfurling from a one, as you would say, big bang or central explosion, and it unfurls. Uh, f- just like we talk about the golden mean or golden ratio. It creates that nine. The inversion of it is a six. I would just say that's just nine ether. That's what it is. That's how it presents itself. It,
Does it present itself to everyone?
I'm not sure.
Has it ever presented itself to you?
When I rub my eyes, or yeah, we can stare. Our melanin allows us to. It's not safe to. I'm not saying you. We're human, okay? So let's. I'm not into that, crazy stuff. Like with some perfect thing. We can look into the sun and withstand the radiation that comes from it better because of our melanin. You might be able to see certain things like that better than somebody who doesn't have, who has that faux melanin. So it's possible, yes, and I have done that during those eclipses. Yes.
Hmm. Yep. Wakil, what's on your mind?
Wait. Again, I wanted to. I was even here before Wakil as well.
Hold on. I thought you already spoke.
No, I didn't.
You spoke after Mississippi, right?
This is Marat.
Oh, Murat, did you speak after Mississippi?
No, I let him go.
Oh, you never spoke.
Never spoke.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Murat. I thought you spoke.
No, that's okay. I let Mississippi go ahead of me. Despite whatever he was, it's fine. Um,
Be honest, Marak.
what was
You did speak a little bit. Be honest, bro.
I
I,
thought
I
I thought you spoke. I
You
thought you
you
did.
gotta be honest now. All right.
Trey? Did I speak? Wani, did I speak?
No, he deferred it.
Thank you. Um,
Oh. It's cool. Go ahead.
I'm forgetting what I was gonna say. Well, first, the Tartarian territory was brought up. Um, I did put that into the jumbotron. That wasn't my main point. I wanted to really get back to a lot of the Moorish information. Sorry, my bad. I'm a little bit thrown off. Um, so I'm sorry.
It's okay to say if you don't know. You can take a break and write down what you want to
Hold on.
say. It's all right.
Right, right, right. Well, the thing is this: everything just kind of threw me off a little bit. 6ix9ine did bring up. Uh, I agree with a lot of things he said. Correct. I'm having a problem trying to establish itself as to the like creating a white people in your cube kind of theory thing, which I do believe in to a certain degree because yes, the Moors were experimental in that way. I just think it predates them. So are you saying that it wasn't until the Moors got involved that that kind of Frankenstein eugenics type of thing started to take course? This is for 6ix9ine.
Oh, okay. Well, let me be very specific. Moor just means, or mooring, the verb, just means someone who traverses the waters. You'll see this if you go to other outside of the United States and you read news articles or
Yeah, I'm talking about the exonym.
well, just let me respond to you because you said Moors. Uh, let's not get caught up on that specific terminology. It's an action. It's a verb. It's not necessarily a people. Um, if somebody wants to be gung ho about Moorish, blah blah blah, that's not what it's about. But to answer your question, there were people at a time who were given knowledge, and there's always a cycle where they get to a certain level of civilization, and they get to a certain technological advancement where they want to create a being to do work for them. Just like the Professor Allen said, that's happening now with AI. It's not the first time this has happened, okay? But there are consequences for that. So, the way to defeat it is to eh, work towards everything that's natural. I'm going in the opposite direction. Less technology, less and you can use it, but they want to actually have this stuff infused with your body, and the only way, the best semiconductor, which we are the physical embodiment of gold. All right, we are the physical embodiment of gold. The semiconductor for that is melanin. All right, semiconductors now work off of synthetic melanin. I'll start to repost some of this stuff, but there's so much technology that's being done to synthesize and also to use our melanin. And that ties into even what Epstein was talking about. And this is answering your question about these created beings. One of the reasons why they're having a hard time releasing this information is because there's a person named Les Wexner who actually was the financier, if you follow the money, who financed Epstein, and he had a sex farm, or uh, I'm using the wrong word, but basically in Mexico he had basically a laboratory, and he wanted to get black women to give their the stem cells in their wombs, their eggs, to create beings there, because it's literally ties into um, this the term that we get for tether, which is Get Out. That movie Get Out. They literally want what we have. They want our physical. Um, they want our physical gifts, our God given gifts.
Well, I'm not going to say everything I know on recorded space, but black man and woman, let me tell you something. And I'm not going to tell you how I know this, but you are the physical embodiment, the direct image of Almighty, of the Creator. You're made, and it says it. You're made in His image, like literally. Just trust me on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, Tariq Nasheed's show is on. Uh 69 Cent, look in your DM. Please respond. I'm gonna get some closing remarks and we're gonna meet up. 6ix9ine, you're more than welcome to meet us on Tariq Nasheed's show. I would love to chat with you, bro. Would share some experiences with you that I think you would appreciate, being an initiate. So maybe some things you could explain to me. Check your DM and please respond. I'm gonna let you know what? I'll let 69 have last words. Go ahead, 69.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad. I didn't think that it would be like that because I've been listening to you for a while, and I appreciate everything that you're
Interesting.
doing. Um, I listen
No,
quietly.
no, you wouldn't. What'd you think? I was gonna like cuss you out or something?
Well, look,
Be honest.
I have
Honesty
to
is my
check
policy.
myself because we deserve it. We deserve it. So this is the thing. I listened quietly yesterday, and I actually follow a lot of these. We have to pay attention to what these sovereign citizen guys, these Moorish guys that
Uh,
want all this power. They don't realize we work very closely with government, and this government protects melanin people. We do have these crazies out here, but especially on the federal level, they protect melanin people. There were some Moorish sovereign citizens that were trying to do all of this anti-government shit, and there are some parts of law enforcement that are off books. They came in, they came and confronted them. We'll say something like, sort of like an MIB, and they said, "Look, your ancestors established this land, and we're not going to allow you to destroy what they set up." That's literally what they told them. Because there's some rah rah niggas that was on some like, "You're gonna take over the government," da, 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 all that type of shit.
don't it don't work that way.
Nah, they stepped to him and they said, "Look, your ancestors established this land, and we're keeping it going. And there's a lot of preserved records. There's a lot of things that aren't out to the public because it would it would really cause a lot of people to lose their minds, quite literally. But they do protect us. We are the jewels of Allah. And I'll just say this: we just have to love each other. No matter what, we gotta love each other. That's the key. That's the key, and just find balance, man. And yeah, we deserve some of the hate, but don't fall in love with hating our mistakes. We apologize. We're sorry for what we
Well,
did.
no, 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 don't apologize to me. I'm just a scholar, believe it or not, and I'm just trying to look for answers, which I never found until today. I think I have answers. So, let's leave it with the question we start. Let's start right where we began. So, 69 were the Moors architects of uh, Black American and total world destruction? Yes or no?
Uh, to a great degree, yes.
Oh, wow! I didn't
To,
expect you to say that.
well, it's just we can't we have to be truthful.
That's true.
The truth is how you free yourself.
Uh huh.
The truth is how you free yourself. So, but at the same time, there is redemption.
There he
So
is.
once you know better, you do better, and we are working. And when I say we, I'm talking about I'm FBA. That's something I can't change either. Um, I have American Indian on both sides of my family, um, but specifically through the Moorish side and the position I was appointed with, and the elders that I was taught, and currently am being uh, conditioned to assist in this process. We're working to correct our wrongs.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I would say we appreciate 6ix9ine, but I would also warn this, advise the space that you don't necessarily have to be initiated by some special group. You could be anointed by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and not even know it. You could be, you may be in a room with somebody who has had direct contact with the Creator. You would never know it. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate y'all. Um, I love y'all, and I will see y'all next time. 6ix9ine, you're welcome in my space anytime. There is redemption. 6ix9ine, you said you brought up polarity, evil, and good exists at the same time. I know a lot of people were wondering, well, why would the Creator, why would God, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, the all, let evil create, exist at the same time uh, as good? The answer is very simple. This life walk is all about a choice. You have to have the ability to choose. That's the rules, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in for more. 69. Respond to that to the if you don't mind, brother, to the DM. And y'all, I'm gonna see y'all later. We meeting up on Tariq's. If y'all want to learn more about Black history, go to Our Story Publications, Cash App, in the Jumbotron. Put $25 on it. Put your full address and a name and zip, and I'll send it out to you. A couple of y'all that purchased the book Monday didn't put your address. Please check the Cash out and look for my message of send your address and send the address, or I'll refund your money. All right, y'all have a great day and peace out. Rendezvous at Tariq's. Bye.